So is work-life balance a myth?
100%.
Welcome to the Strong Like a Mother podcast with Cherie
And Jada. We're doing your best. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect.
I think it's one of those things that like everybody talks about. It feels like it's one of the hot topics, a hot button that everybody's searching for, but it's like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that it's really hard to achieve sometimes.
I think because it's the false illusion that everything is going to get the same equal amount of energy and time at the same time. And that is impossible. It's not real.
Yeah.
You can't focus on not in the respect that it needs two things at the same time. So I think that's the big thing with time blocking.
Yeah.
To where you say, at this time, this gets 100%, let me be honest, 75% of my attention.
Yeah.
And then at this time, I'll give this energy to this. So everything has its place in the day.
Yeah.
But not everything deserves the same amount of time.
I've had to really get better at time blocking. And I think you can achieve some sort of balance, but to think that you're going to live in balance is not really realistic. And the time blocking does help. I mean, I'm really and right now I'm in a season of like, okay, let me rethink how I'm time blocking. I live and breathe and die by my calendar. But still, I'm learning that I need to be a little bit more proactive with putting in blocks of time to do certain things. Because if you don't, ultimately your calendar is going to fill up with one thing or another, or you're going to think you don't have anything to do. And so you're going to allow yourself to, watch a movie, play on TikTok, whatever. But ultimately you really should have been doing XYZ, whatever that is for you. So I think you can get there. There are days where you can get there, but then there are days where you literally can't get there also.
It is, and we've talked about this, you have to say no to some things. You can't say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And, the grand thing of finding your why and what's motivating you. And honestly, that changes from seasons in life, seasons of the year.
Yeah.
All of that, it kind of can fluctuate and change. And so you do that check-in with yourself or, then with your household. Okay, where do we need to allocate time or week, whatever, just to shift it around sometimes, because sometimes you're needed more at home.
Yep.
Sometimes you're needed more at work.
Yeah.
And you have to do those reevaluations to check in and see where is my time best used and not wasted.
Right. When I think about work-life balance and just time blocking and that kind of thing, I think when you think about that story from, it's probably 10, 20 years old, about the professor that talks about the rocks in the jar. Have you ever heard this story?
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So you fill the jar with the big rocks first.
Right.
And then you fill the jar with the little rocks, right? You fill in all the space. So you put as many big rocks as you can in the jar. And then you dump smaller rocks that fill around the space. And the jar looks pretty full.
Right.
But then you take sand and then you fill it up with the sand. And because the sand is so much smaller, it fills in the other gaps. And then you still have room that you can dump water on top of that. And it's like, I think that's a very good analogy on how to, one, organize your life in a way that you can maximize it and really build it to, what you want it to be and fill it with as much stuff as you want. But also if you did it in the reverse order, it wouldn't all fit like that. Right?
You'd have it full of water, which are your least important task or priorities.
Yeah.
And you have no room for the most important priorities.
Yeah.
I find this year, you may agree with this, I've taken on a lot more. And have been more intentional. The goal is to be more intentional with it, to where if I look back, I'm like, where do you have the time to do all this kind of stuff? I don't know, but I knew that these things were important to me, and they were meant for me to do.
Yeah.
And the time works itself out. Hey, this is important, so I need to make sure that I give this time and this time, and it all gets done. If I tell that to anybody, sometimes what all I do in a week, they're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
I just do it. I just do it because I'm called to do certain things, or I want to do certain things. I want my kids to get to do certain things. So we make it happen. But if I sit and I marinate on it too long, and I'm like, well, then you overthink it.
Yeah, you get that analysis paralysis if you stop to ponder it for too long, honestly. And I do get that a lot because I'm involved a lot. I'm involved with our local board. I'm involved at my brokerage. I've got my own work. I've got my family. We've got the podcast. There's a lot of things that, and I get a lot from people that they're like, how do you do it all? You just do it. You just do it. And I am very, very fortunate in having a husband that, we both work. We both equally take on things in our home, and that is helpful. And so, I think it's important to know that not everybody's life looks the same.
Right.
And that's okay, because we all are doing what works for our household. But that is part of how I do so much. I have a great village and a good support system. I have, babysitters, family that's willing to help. I've got, a lot of resources that help kind of pull everything together for me. And without that, I probably couldn't do half of what I do. But if you just say, okay, where am I going to really get intentional and really get strategic about my calendar? I am strategic about my calendar, and I recognize how much time is wasted, which is, right now I'm kind of changing things up. I got an office at our brokerage. I have really worked from home for the last few years. I used to be I'm going to the office every day kind of person, coming from corporate America before I got into real estate. And I have just kind of I got comfortable working from home, I guess, after COVID. And I found that I'm maybe not maximizing my time as well as I could be. And because I refuse to say no to anything in my current schedule, I am saying no to pretty much anything else in my life. Like, that's new stuff coming up, right? I don't have the capacity for more right now. But because I'm trying to find the balance, I think going to an office will prevent me from, it kind of feels like right now work never ends because I work at home, and I'm like, well, let me just grab my laptop. Let me just do this. And it's wearing me out, and I feel it. And so it's like I'm in a season of trying to restructure and find that happy balance, because I don't feel balanced right now. I feel like work is 75%, whereas like home life is 25%. And I don't want that. You want to try to be as evenly yoked as you can on both sides, but
well, you probably find that both of those are rocks. Those are both important pieces.
Yeah.
That they deserve more of an equal thing than maybe a social life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody asked me last night, they're like, oh, we need to get together and grill. And I'm just thinking, I don't have the capacity to add anything else right now. Like, outside of my family and my consistent friends that are already big rocks in my life, there really isn't room. Not to say that I don't want to be friends, but like, I don't really have the capacity to take on, oh, we're going to get together and grill and do this and do that, or go out to eat with, it's just, we're already, I'm like, okay, we're way overdue for just like a date night for me and my husband, And so it's like when those things kind of start getting pushed, that's my trigger to go, all right, I've got to start putting things in motion to help. But something that I found very helpful in learning how to balance is finding ways to leverage. I know it's a hot topic in our industry and really probably in any job that you are self-employed. Leverage is like one of those things that everybody's talking about. But I think about leverage in a different way of like, how do I leverage things in my home?
Yeah.
And what makes the most sense? You know, like for me, it's ordering meal kits every week. It's for the other stuff, it's ordering an Instacart order so I don't have to go physically shop at the store. Yeah, it costs me a little bit more right now, but ultimately I know what my worth is. I know, you know, typically what my hourly rate runs, and it is still better for me to work instead of taking that time to go grocery shop ultimately. And I don't feel that way in every season of life. There are plenty of times when I go do grocery shopping, but right now in these last few weeks, it's been hectic. So yeah, I've done Instacart and I'm like, here's my order, please deliver it at this time and I'll be home and I'll put it up. Finding, you know, somebody to help clean and maintain my household. You know, that's been huge, to not have to spend my weekends, which I work a lot on the weekends. Well, sometimes I do, not every weekend, but I don't want to spend my precious weekend time that I am off. I don't want to spend it cleaning, you know?
Yeah.
So I think finding ways to leverage, even if it's just a little bit, you know, like I'm buying groceries one way or another, paying a tip and a little bit of a service fee on top of that to get it, it doesn't really cost that much. So I think that there's a lot of cost-effective ways to leverage out things in your life. Do you do any kind of stuff like that you feel like when you're spread thin, maybe it's not an all the time thing, but when you're spread thin, do you leverage out things?
I think in general, it's sad to say I'm just learning that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
That I've taken on so much to say. It almost now, when you look about it, like you're just punishing yourself by just continuing to take it all on. And you know you're not doing it all well.
Yeah.
And you're taking on too much stuff. And to say, hey, listen, I need to go and do this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please go pick up the girls?
Yeah.
Or I need to... There's a list of things that can be, but just genuinely asking for the help. I told somebody this and they thought it was funny, but Jared does the cooking in our house.
Mm-hmm.
I will do the grocery shopping, but I'm like, I don't, it's not something that I enjoy necessarily. I do it. I'm okay at it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily bring me joy. Okay, I take on these roles. Hey, can we trade with this? Just different things, finding that you don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where I did not work, that I was a stay-at-home mom, but then when I went back to work, I was still doing all the stuff I did when I stayed at home, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little burnt out. What's going on? And then you realize, okay, well, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to rework it. And then, you know, you did that struggle bus for a little while, and you're like, well, he's not asking me if I need help. Well, sometimes you have to just say it because you've been doing it.
Right.
And you've not necessarily been complaining, or you've been complaining but not in the right way to say, this is what I need your help with. Yeah. Can you do this?
Yeah. Communicating effectively matters.
It is. I mean, it's helped a lot now that the girls are getting older. So there's so much that I don't have to do myself anymore.
Right.
Like, everybody's laundry is not my problem anymore. Thank you. I mean, I'm still at the higher end of it, probably 60% of laundry, but still, just that little bit off my plate is so helpful. Whatever I can order from Amazon or do a Target pickup, me not wandering around Target is better for my time and honestly better for my bank account. Yeah. So whatever I can do to not waste time, I don't have. Or let's be honest, I've had a long day. I'd rather have some time where I'm watching TV and not in the store, cleaning up behind people, folding laundry. I just want time to breathe. Yep. That I've delegated other things to where you kind of get that time. because it's no way to do everything all the time.
There's no way. And I think when you recognize that, life does, it comes into balance a little bit more.
Yeah, it's clear.
It's clear. And you just go, okay, well, I can do these things.
Right.
But if I, leverage off these things, and I've learned really how to leverage off so much when I need it.
Yeah.
That it does make life a little easier when you just admit and go, I have to ask for help. And being in business has definitely taught me that. My assistant, Christine, she is the queen of just, you need to leverage more to me. You need to delegate more to me. And I'm just the personality that it's like, I do think in my head that I can do it all. And I'm like, oh, it's just this one little thing, Well, guess what? 10 little things in a day add up to a lot of time. But had I just sent her a text and said, can you help me with XYZ, it would have made life that much simpler, because then I would have, maybe I leveraged off half of that to her, and it saved me from working at 5 p.m. whenever I'm trying to rush out the door and go get my kid from school. And, it takes practice though.
Do you feel like leverage almost has the bad rap of weakness? Like if I leverage, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing it well to where I have to give it away.
Yeah.
Even though that's not really the case.
It's not the case. And I've tried to reframe that. I think internally, yes, it does feel that way to me. I have a set of emails that go to my clients at certain times in their transaction. And it tells them, if you can't get me, feel free to reach out to Christine. That's what she's there for. She knows the paperwork better than I do. Honestly, if you call her and ask her a paperwork question, she's going to know it. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm going to have to go, oh, wait. Let me back up. I got to go look. She knows it off the top of her head, more than likely. But then when my clients do call her, it makes me feel some sort of way. I don't know why. I trust her 100%. Take it. Take it, run with it. But it makes me feel a little bit inadequate, oh man. But ultimately she's there because I do a fair amount of business that I do need the help, And she is more readily available. There are times when I go into an appointment, that client is my focus. Whatever I'm doing, whatever that time block is, I try to make that my focus and to not get distracted by my phone or by an incoming phone call or text or whatever it is. Because their time is valuable and I value that. And I just, so there are time blocks where I'm just not available, and that just is what it is. But yeah, there is, I think, in my head, when I say it out loud, it sounds so silly because I'm a big believer in leverage. And when you think about the meaning of leverage, you're leveraging your time to do more.
Right.
That's pretty much what it is at its core. So it shouldn't feel that way, but there are times when it does, for sure.
I've dealt with that in regards to momming.
Yeah.
So in situations where if my kid is sick, I feel like I'm the only one that can care for them properly.
Yeah.
No one's going to do it the way that I do it. And I found myself telling this to another mom recently, that they're not necessarily going to parent or mom them the way that you do.
Yeah.
And that is okay.
Yeah.
It's probably just temporary. I don't know how long it took for me to feel okay for Jared to go and do doctor checkups and I'm not there. He's not going to ask all the questions that I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Or pay attention to certain things. So that is okay. But they will never learn how to do it the way that you need to if you never give people the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And give you the room, and you may give it away and you be like, you know what? I didn't like it as much as I did. Or you know what? They may do it better than you.
Yeah.
And so for instance, Dylan loves going to her Auntie's house, which is my aunt, her great aunt, loves going to their house. And they may not do everything exactly the way I do it, but she loves that experience. She loves that time. And her going to Auntie's house frees up my time to go and do other things. So sometimes you have to let go for the greater good of your advancement.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, God forbid you know, leverage, especially childcare or even just work, to go have a little self-care time.
Right.
You know, like we feel this need to do so much. And I don't know if that is a female thing, that we feel this need to like prove ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that's a common theme for many women, working or not, that, oh, we need to do it all. We need to do it all. We need to do it all. But ultimately, that's just not realistic. You know, like we all need help. Like no one gets to the top alone, more than likely. Like maybe there's a few, but in general, to get to the top alone, you probably sacrificed a lot more than I'm willing to sacrifice.
It's not worth the isolation for me.
Agreed.
It's not worth the isolation.
Agreed. So. It's just one of those things that you're just like, you know, priorities. Yeah. Priorities. So what are you doing right now to find that inner peace in being okay with, you know, the balance that you have kind of struck in your home right now?
One of those things is I still make sure I make time for myself, just that quiet time of mindless activity to disconnect for a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I work about 12 different jobs. It's not that many, but life can be hectic, and that's okay. I don't tell myself anymore, when it calms down, I don't know how to sit still. If I'm really honest with myself, I don't know how to sit still. I like to be busy. I like to be productive. Mm-hmm. I like to be of service to people, but I still need to take time for myself. So that is one of those major things that I'm like, this week can just run me ragged, but just make sure I carve out and I have some little glimmer of excitement or fun for me to get to do.
Yeah.
So that way you don't get spiteful for all those things that, to be honest, I've chosen. I've chosen this life. Mm-hmm. I've chosen these things. And at any point I am spiteful, I have to say, this is not serving me anymore. I got to let it go.
Yep.
And that's the only way it's going to work. So as many things as I do take on, there is time for them each day or during the week, with still making time for myself.
Yeah.
At any point, I can't do that. I can't make time for myself. I can't make time for my marriage. I can't make time for my kids. We got to go back.
Yeah.
Because that spite is when you know it's not serving you anymore. That's that inner voice telling you it's not working.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
No, I totally agree with that. I think, you know, for me, it's things that I'm doing to just kind of find that peace is learning it's okay to say no.
Yes.
That's been kind of a common theme for me in recent weeks and months. Learning to just say, I'm sorry. Because if I say yes to you, I have to say no to something else that's already in my schedule and I just don't have any more room. Definitely taking time for self-care. That I learned early on that it's essential for me to operate on a high level, to take time out and, you know, I go get a massage once a month and I'll get my nails done. And those are things that I just enjoy. And it's kind of just one of those things that breathes new life into me when I can just relax and just, okay, let it go. But just finding quiet too. You know, I think we live in a world that's so loud all the time. You know, music's going, the TV's going, kids are screaming, kids are laughing. You know, we've got this podcast on, or we've got, you know, just everything all the time. The phone's ringing, the text messages are going off. That it's really important for me, and I usually try to take some time in the morning to just find that quiet and go, okay, like, let me get my thoughts in order. Let me plan my day. What are my big rocks for the day? What am I going to get accomplished? What are the things that are non-negotiables? And just to have that time, because when you start getting really conscious about it and going, okay, I know that I have to get these things done and they're non-negotiables today, having that in your head, then you're going to focus on those things first and get them done, and it makes you a little bit more productive. And for me, when I feel productive during the day, then I'm like, okay, I did so much today. It makes me go, oh, I can shut off my laptop at 4:30 and enjoy the rest of the afternoon and go get my kid early. And, so that's probably my biggest inner peace finding.
So before we decide on who our strong mother is this week, are you a digital planner or are you a paper planner?
A little bit of both. Mostly digital. Because I need my calendar, I need to be able to access it, and I always have my phone. So
Same.
I mostly am a digital person. However, I do have like a accountability planning sheet that I print out every day that I write, here's what I'm doing, here's kind of like sketch out my day, because it allows me to brain dump that stuff and put it somewhere. And when I write it down, I'm more likely to accomplish it. What about you?
I'm definitely both. And the digital calendar is more so for the household. So we're all Apple people, so we all have that family calendar. So when I put something in, or if I need my husband to know, hey, I have a work engagement, I need you to go get the kids, whatever that is, or if Peyton has something, we're all in the same calendar. So it works well for a family.
Yeah.
To do it that way. And I just love the pretty planner stickers and all those things. So I love to keep my written planner also. And it helps me remember actually better when I write stuff down than just having it in my phone, because they honestly make it so easy now to like add an event to your calendar to where I'm like, I gotta go back and physically look at it. So everything gets written down and pretty much everything else gets put in the digital calendar. So it's a public service announcement to my household that, hey, there's things on the calendar. We're busy always. So I think let's do this strong like a mother a little bit different this week. And just to all those moms out there working on whatever their idea of work-life balance is, that you find that inner peace, you make time for yourself, and you give yourself some grace in this process, that we can't be great at everything all the time, and you make sure you prioritize those rocks over that water.
And give yourself a pat on the back, because you're doing a great job. You
are. We're telling you, you're doing a great job.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week. But if you miss us between now and then, go check us out on Instagram, because we are there all the time.
Bye.
Bye.